Now we're going to talk about where we'll write down the code, right? Like which tools we are going to use to write down the code and where we are going to get those tools. So the number one is Force.com developer console. So have you ever tried opening this up? And then what did you got? So it basically looks like a desktop application, similar to like any of the like Notepad plus plus or I mean Turbo C, not Turbo C for sure, Notepad plus plus and I mean yeah NetBeans and Eclipse and stuff like that. So let me explain it to you what exactly Force.com developer console is. It is a browser-based IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, with the help of which you can write the code, you can create the programs, you can use different tools in order to do testing and everything. So all the tools that are required to develop an application, to create an application, or to do certain stuff with the help of code, you'll get it into an IDE. And this Force.com developer console is a browser-based IDE which is provided by Salesforce. So, like we always talked about this, right? Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM, and like it, all what you need is a browser and an internet connection. Even if you want to create an application, right? So that's exactly what it is. If you're gonna click on developer console, you're gonna get a browser-based IDE. Or anyways, so this is a browser-based IDE with the help of which you can write the code, you can execute the code, you can develop the code, you can do the testing. You can do whatever you want to do. If you want to create a new Apex class, Apex trigger, Visual Force page, Lightning component, Lightning page, everything can be done with the help of developer console. And most of the time, I think I'm gonna use developer console most of the time or all of the time to write the code or to create the applications and stuff, right? Is it clear what exactly developer console is? So shall we create our first program? So like we're gonna create our first class, and for that what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to new. We're gonna create an Apex class, and then it's gonna ask us the name of the Apex class that you want to set, and I'm gonna write down first class, right? So the syntax is like as I said, 90% similar to Java, and again C# is similar to it when it comes to syntax. So that's how it works. So a class is created automatically, public class, first class, and inside it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write down a method, because inside a method which we call as function and method are the same thing, right? There's no difference. So when you write a method, or when you're writing a class, all the executable statements are written in a method only, right? You can write down declaration, you can write down I mean yeah, initialization and everything, uh, like I mean without a method as well, but all the executable statements will be written down in the method only. So that's the reason I'm writing down a method. But with static void, it's not compulsory for you to write down main only. You can write down anything, right? It's not compulsory for you to write down main. I'm going to write down my method. You can write down your name as well. It can be anything, literally anything. And currently I'm just creating a simple program that I'm going to explain it to you after executing that, why I've written this, why I've written this, why I've written this, and if you're going to remove this, then how we can execute it the other way. So that's what it is. So whenever we learn a new programming language, what is the first program that we create? Right? Hello world. So for that we need to print it, right? But there is no black window in here. That console, or I mean, let's not call console. That command prompt or that terminal is not here. So like I mean, to in C, what was the statement in order to print anything onto that terminal? In C++, in Java, exactly. In Apex, it is system.debug, and it will get executed into the debug statements, right? Because there is no terminal or something like that. What do you want to write down? Hello world, right? Just save it. See, this is saving. It's compiled. When you're saving a program, it automatically gets compiled. Then only it gets saved. If there is an error and you're trying to save it, there is an error, right? There is no semicolon in here. If I'm going to try to save it, I'm going to try. If I'm going to save it, then there will be an error. Error? The class is not saved. Let's see what's the problem. 6 line missing semicolon at, right? Let's add this, save it once again, and I'm pressing Control S to save it. You can save it from here as well. Save. It's saved again. Problem is gone. Got it? This is how you compile your Apex program. Then now you want to execute this program. You want to see hello world. How are you going to do that? So listen to me very carefully. There is anonymous window, execute anonymous window in developer console, which allows us to execute any code. You can write down any code in execute anonymous window and just execute it. And you can do that in production as well. Otherwise. But I should not tell it to you. But yeah, execute anonymous window allows you to execute a particular code without writing any class, without writing any method or something like that. Whatever you'll write down in execute anonymous window. So its name defines what it is. Execute anonymous. Anonymously, you want to execute anything, just write down into execute anonymous window, right? So currently, what do I want to do? I want to execute this method. That's what I want to do. So this method is there in this particular class, and it's a static method. So how to call a static method of a particular class? Write down the class name dot method name. Execute. If you want to check open log, logs will be open automatically. If you don't want it to be opened automatically, then we can open it the other way. I'll explain to you. I'm gonna execute it now. Execute. So it's executed, and if you're gonna go to the logs, you're gonna find this. File Sharma unknown. This success unread. I'm gonna open this out. So there is debug only. Hello world, right? You successful with this? You must be thinking, what is going on? Let me explain it to you. So these are logs, right? Logs are basically contains the information of the program that got executed or the code that got executed, right? Like when did the variable got the memory allocated, when which value got assigned to which particular variable, when which function got executed, when which function called which another function that got executed, and when that function got a stack in order to store its local variables. Every technicality is stored into logs, right? And why these logs are created? In order for the developer or someone who wants to trace that where the program is going and where it is headed and what exactly it is doing, to know that, to understand that. But currently we only want to see the debug logs or the debug statement that we have given. So in this first class, I've written down system.debug, right? So that's the reason I want to see the debug only. And hence I'll check that this debug only, and it will be like, hello world. Is it clear? So that's one way of calling this method or executing a program. Let's talk about another way. So if I haven't created this method as static, will it get saved? Will get saved, right? There's no problem with that. So the methods which do not have the static keyword in front of them, we call them as instance methods, right? We call them as instance methods. So yeah, I mean, we've created an instance method in here. And now in order to call this instance method, what we're going to do? Exactly. So to execute the method of this particular class, we'll need to create a object of this particular class. And how to create an object? So this sounds similar, like to any of the programming languages that we have worked on. Is Java? It's exactly similar to Java. Is there anyone who is not able to understand this? Anyone? Please be honest. You? Yeah. Yeah. So what happens is you create a class, right? This is related to OOPS concept that we're gonna talk about later in the OOPS Apex OOPS class. But let's talk about it right now as well. So you create a class table, and to create different table, you create a class chairs, right? And to create different chairs with different height, different width, different breadth, you create different objects. So there are two types of methods that can be there in a class. One is static and another one is instance. Instance is basically used for a particular object, and static is basically used for all the objects. So that's what the difference is. So if you're creating a static method, that can be called with the class name itself. But if you're creating an object, but if you're creating a method with without the static keyword, then it needs to be called with an object of that particular class. That's compulsory, right? So if you are creating a method without the static keyword, you need to write down first this, and then what? You need to write down the method name and then just execute it. If you're gonna check this open log, take it like that. That's it. So it's completely your choice how you want to write down the program. What is the name that you want to give, or like, yeah, I mean, what return type you want to give, what keywords you want it to be associated with. But you need to know how to call that method or how to execute that method from the execute anonymous window. That's all what matters. I'm gonna stick to the easiest way, which is first class dot my method. That's it. That's all what I want, right? Okay. So that's how we create our first program, how we created our first program of Apex with developer console. So that's the number one like development environment that we have got to write down the Apex code. Now let's talk about number two, right? So when you go to setup, you write down Apex classes, and when you hit new in here, right, you get a code editor. This is a code editor. Public class, second class, right? So I'm going to create another method in here, public static void my method. That's the second program that you create whenever you learn any programming language, right? So you've written down this particular code, and now all what you need to do is save this. This class is saved, right? And now if you want to execute it, you can again go back to your developer console. Instead of first class, write down second class and execute it. I'm learning Apex. That's it. So that's another development environment, or that's not development environment, but that's another way of, or another place where you can write down the code or edit the code related to Apex, which we call as code editor in setup, right? That's a code editor, nothing else. It lacks multiple functionalities which are there in developer console. So it's your choice where you want to write the code. I would prefer you to write the code in developer console. But if there is a case you are not able to do that, or you do not want to do that, use the code editor. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Let's talk about the third, third tool to write down the Apex code. Right? How many of you have heard about like Eclipse? Everyone. How many of you have used Eclipse? Many of you. How many of you have written an Apex code in Apex using Eclipse? So there's one thing. Eclipse is an IDE, and using that IDE, you can write down the Apex class. You can create the classes. You can create the Visual Force pages and everything else. But don't you think, like, I mean, how is it possible? Because Eclipse we need to download and install on our system, whereas the Like the Apex program gets executed, it gets compiled and interpreted on the server. How Eclipse, which is staying on or which is running on our system, is able to execute the programs or able to compile the programs which can only be compiled onto Salesforce servers. You're getting my question? So like now, so just now today itself, I've explained you that Apex can run can be compiled or executed only onto the Forge.com servers or only onto the Salesforce servers. But now I'm saying saying you guys is now what I'm saying you guys is that you can have Eclipse on your system and you can create Apex code on Eclipse. How is that even possible? Whenever we'll try to compile that code, it will create a connection with our Salesforce server. It will send that code to our Salesforce server and will get the results from the Salesforce server itself. So still what is happening? The code is getting compiled and executed onto the servers only, not on the not onto our system, not onto our own system, or not onto Eclipse. But the thing is, we need to make this connection with our Salesforce org as well as our Eclipse, which is installed on our local system. How can we do that? With the help of Forge.com ID, right? Forge.com ID. So that's the third tool, Forge.com ID on Eclipse. So when you talk about Forge.com ID on Eclipse, let's see, like I mean, what exactly it is. Uh, it's basically a plugin that needs to be installed and configured on our Eclipse, which is installed on our local system, which helps us to compile the program onto the server and execute the program on our server and get the results back onto our Eclipse only. So first, what do we need to have in order to use this Forge.com ID? Eclipse. We first need Eclipse, and Eclipse is open source. It's free. You can download it from eclipse.org, I guess. I mean, just search Eclipse download and download whichever one you like. I've got Oxygen. I think they've come up with a new version now. Just open Eclipse. I never use it. Okay. So yeah, this is Eclipse. And then what you need to do is you need to install the plugin of Forge.com ID for Eclipse. And let me tell you how you'll do that. First of all, you'll get complete step-by-step guide on this developer.salesforce.com. These are the steps that you have to do. Launch Eclipse, this, and that. So if you want, I'm going to post this link onto the classroom so that you guys can use it later on to download it. But let me explain it to you how you'll do it. So you're going to go to Help. You're going to click on Install New Software. Then you'll click on Add. You're gonna give a name, Forge.com ID. Then in this location field, you're just gonna enter this URL. And then click OK. It will take some time. It will download all the things that are required in order for it to be in order for it to act as a plugin for your own system. And then once it will be done, you can just simply add it, and then it's done for you. And yeah, then just save it. I'm not adding it because it is already there in my in my Eclipse. Forge.com plugin, Forge.com ID plugin is already there in my Eclipse, and I don't want to waste time removing it and again installing it. So you can do it on your own. If you face any problem, then just feel free to ask. Now, what do I need to do? I need to create a new Forge.com project. And by the way, you're not going to get a new Forge.com project just like that. Before that, what you need to do is you need to go to Window. This is something that you'll not get anywhere. You'll need to go to Window, then you'll go to Perspective, then you're going to go to Open Perspective, then Other, and then you'll have to select Forge.com and then Open. Otherwise, if you'll go to File, New, it will ask you to create a new Java application, new Java program, Java class, something like that. So, I mean, you need to change the perspective of your IDE, which is Eclipse IDE. And once you'll set it as forge.com, then only you'll be able to get a new forge.com project or a new Apex class. So, like this perspective is already open in my Eclipse. Now, what do I need to do? File new and forge.com project. Project name, May 2019, summer training, right? Username. Uh, yeah, what should I add as a username? What's the username? May 19. What is the password? You do not know. What is security token? What is security token first of all? Why do we need it? So whenever we want to log in into our Salesforce org from any external application, for an added security, we need to add security token as well. And where do we get the security token? We just need to get it on our email. But I am not sure whether I've got it on my email or not, or which one it is, because I've got multiple orgs. So I'm showing you the steps how to get the security token. You're gonna go to settings of your user, and then you're gonna go to reset my security token, and then you're gonna hit reset security token. Your new Salesforce security token, and there you go. Alphanumeric case sensitive token. Just copy it and paste it over here. Without the security token, you'll not be able to log in. Hit next. Data loader. We used to use the, I mean, we used it in data loader as well. Is there a new project created on this name? Oh, so finish. May 2019 summer training. Open this one. Go to the source. Go to the classes. First class. Just now created this, right? You already got what is there in your Salesforce org in this Eclipse, right? Because you have connected it with the help of Forge.com IDE. That's nothing but a plugin for Eclipse. Is it clear? Okay. Is this the code that we have written down over there? And for second class, learning Apex. It's already there. What if I want to create a new Apex class? File, oops, new Apex class. Name, third class. Right? Here it is. With sharing. We're going to talk about with this with sharing later on. It is basically used to set the security and sharing settings on a particular class. Like a user who is running the class, his or her security and sharing settings should matter or should not matter. By default, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to add with sharing, it will matter. That's all what it is. But currently, public class, third class. Yeah. Public static void my method. I mean, it's not compulsory, by the way. I'm again and again telling it to you. It's not compulsory that you name it as main or my method. You can name it anything, because half of the course is done. Whenever, like, I've seen some situation in which half of the course is done, and even then, students are saying me that, sir, it should be my method. It is not like that. It's just about what is the name that you're putting in here and how you call it in the execute and arms window. That's all. System.debug. Right? Are you okay? Just save it. This program will get saved. Will we get it on our Salesforce org as well? Let's see. I doubt. I'll go to the developer console. And in this developer console, I'm going to go to open classes, first class, second class, nothing else. How you can compile it there in Eclipse, because there is no compiler in Eclipse. Whenever you want to compile the program, it'll go to the server. So let me show it to you what we need to do. We're going to go to this third class, right click, force.com and save to server. All right, let me just third class force.com, save to server. Save resource third class is dirty, huh? I don't to save server. Yes, go ahead. Do you want to cancel deployment? No. Yes. Operation in progress. Go to our developer console. Refresh. Third class. Say, having fun? That's how it goes. Huh? Why do we need to use it on the very first hand? Let me tell you what are the reasons for that. Like many of the developers are familiar with the working environment of Eclipse, and as Salesforce has created everything for the people who are familiar with anything, it has created this plugin as well to use this. Number two, if I want to work on to multiple projects, I can add multiple orgs in here. Like I've added this May 19 org. I've got another orgs in here as well. Metadata project January, May 18, May 2018, September 18, dev class, different orgs that I've got. That's also one of the reasons why I should use Apex if I want to work on to multiple projects and I want to use the code from different project into this project and do stuff like that. So whenever I am working on a like larger scale, not on only onto a single project, I'm going to use Eclipse. Number three, when I'm using Git, right, version control and stuff like that, I have to use Eclipse IDE. I cannot do it on developer console. I can do it on Salesforce developer console with the help of DX. Like there's something called as Salesforce DX, which allows us to do CI/CD and everything like that. But we can do all of this with the help of Eclipse and using a version control like Git. That's what we use, right? And one more thing, if you want your code to be saved on your local system as well or on your repository of Git as well, not only onto the Salesforce server, you're going to write the code in Eclipse. So I'm creating a code. When I'm saving this code, it is getting saved onto Eclipse local system, like my local system, or onto the Git on which I'm trying to store, or onto the server, not onto the server of Salesforce, but onto the server of, or onto the repository where I'm storing it, right? But that, it's not getting stored onto the Salesforce servers. So that's one of the advantage of it as well. Now let me tell you one more thing. As Salesforce is a multi-tenant or multi-tenant environment, there are API limits usage. So the more time you click save, the more time you hit save, that API usage counts, right? Or yeah, those limits gets counted. So in order to reduce that, we use Eclipse, because when we are saving again and again, it is only getting saved to our local system. And only when we save it to the server, then only the API usage gets counted. So in order to reduce that as well, we use Eclipse. So these are some reasons. But yeah, I mean, most of the time, developer console is more than sufficient. Clear, everyone? Okay. How to execute this? Now, we can only execute it from our org, from nothing else. There is, these are the problems if you're facing. If you're saving this, you'll get a problem in here. Error. Unexpected syntax missing semicolon at this. Even if it is not getting compiled, the normal simple syntactical mistakes that you can do or that you might do are getting resolved in here only without getting it saved to the server or onto the server. There you go. Execute anonymous, like third class. Are you able to see this? Okay. Third class dot my method execute anonymous. Apex test results. Execute anonymous. I'm having fun. That's what it is, right? So this is how you can execute. I mean, you can execute any code in your Eclipse as well, right? You do not actually have to go to the developer console and log in over there and stuff like that. And by the way, when you want to code onto a developer console, you always need to log in into your browser, but it's not the case in here. I mean, because you've saved the password, the security token, and everything. You just need to open it and then just do the work that you want to do. That's it. Is it clear with everyone? So these are the three different tools that we can use in order to write the Apex code, or in order to write the Apex program. Number one is what? Number two, code editor. Where to get that code editor? From the setup, right? From setup Apex classes. And if you want to write down Visual Force pages, then Apex setup and then Visual Force pages in that way only. And third one is Forge.com ID plugin on Eclipse, right? So basically Eclipse, and on Eclipse we can use Forge.com ID plugin in order to do whatever we want to do. Hope that makes sense. You guys must be thinking that what is this metadata all about? So basically, when you store an Apex class or when you save an Apex class, the information about that Apex class, which API version, what is the name, where to find that compiled Apex, all of it gets stored as a metadata. So are we good with Eclipse IDE as well? So let's go to Apex Basics again, and let's see this note. The code doesn't get saved until it compiles without errors. Right? The Forge.com developer console and this Forge.com ID allow you to write test and debug our Apex code. On the other hand, the code editor in the user interface enables only writing the code and does not support debugging or testing. So, I mean, yeah, it's simple. Code editor is just an editor, nothing else. Whereas developer console is in complete IDE, Eclipse is a complete IDE. Okay. With that, we complete with how exactly Apex compiles, executes, what are the different tools with the help of which we can write Apex code, and I mean, yeah, write the programs with the help of which or using which we're going to work, right?